Hey everyone, welcome to another deep dive, and today we're going to tackle marinated grilled chicken with green sauce.
Sounds delicious.
It is, it really is. And you know what? We're going to make this recipe super easy to understand.
Sounds like a plan. Breaking it down so everyone can follow along, right?
Exactly. We found this great blog post called Marinated Grilled Chicken Served with Green Sauce.
Okay, so like a full guide.
Yeah,
Nice.
full guide.
Yeah.
Everything from picking the right chicken to getting those, perfect grill marks.
I love grill marks. They just scream delicious. And
Uh-huh.
what about the green sauce? Homemade or store-bought?
Well, that's the cool part. This blog post actually has a whole section on how to make your own green sauce.
Mm,
Super fresh, super flavorful.
gotta love homemade.
Right. So let's start with the marinade. Why is marinating so important for grilled chicken?
It's like giving your chicken a spa day, you know? It's not just about flavor.
Oh, interesting. So there's more to it than just taste.
Absolutely. It's also about tenderness. The acids in the marinade, like lemon juice or vinegar, they break down the tough proteins.
So it's like almost like pre-cooking it a bit, making it more tender.
In a way, yeah. And while that's happening, the oil in the marinade is like a flavor delivery system.
Hmm.
Helps those herbs and spices really sink in.
Oh, so that's how it all comes together. I've always wondered about that.
Yeah, it's all about the science. And you got to get the ratio of acid to oil just right. That's super important.
The blog post actually mentioned something about over-marinating. What's the deal with that?
Yeah, so too much of a good thing, you know? Too much acid can actually make the chicken, well, mushy.
Mushy chicken.
Yuck, no thanks.
Exactly. So you got to stick to those marinating times, usually like 30 minutes to a couple of hours, depending on the recipe and the cut of chicken.
Makes sense. And speaking of cuts, the blog post talks about using breasts, thighs, and wings for grilling. What are the big differences?
Breasts, they're lean, they cook fast, perfect for a quick dinner.
Weeknight meal, get it done. Right, thighs, they got more fat, so they're juicier, more flavor, but they take a bit longer on the grill.
I do love a juicy chicken thigh.
And then you got wings, ultimate finger food, game day, parties, you name it.
Okay, so we've marinated our chicken, we've picked our cut, and now it's grill time. The blog post mentioned direct and indirect heat. What's the difference?
So direct heat, that's your high heat, fast cooking, searing, crispy skin, all that good stuff. You're cooking right over the flames.
Okay, and indirect heat.
That's more like roasting. You're cooking away from the flames, a bit slower, more even. Good for bigger pieces of chicken.
I see, so you kind of use a combination depending on what you're grilling.
Exactly, you got it. And another thing, those grill marks, gotta love them.
Who doesn't love a good grill mark?
Yeah.
Any tips for getting those perfect sear marks?
Hot grill. Super important. Get that grill nice and hot before you even think about putting the chicken on.
Okay, hot grill, check. What else?
Oil those grates. Don't want your chicken sticking. And whatever you do, don't press down on it. You'll squeeze out all the juice.
Oh, right. I've definitely been guilty of that before. I'm trying to get those grill marks, but ending up with dry chicken.
We've all been there. And of course, gotta be safe. Fire extinguisher handy, long-handled tools to keep your distance from the heat.
Safety first, always.
Now can we talk about the green sauce? This is where I get really excited.
Okay, let's dive into the green sauce. This blog post, it really highlights how versatile green sauce can be.
Right. It's not just for dipping. It's like a marinade, a glaze, everything.
Exactly. And the homemade recipe, so simple. Fresh cilantro, parsley, garlic, a few other things you probably already have.
I love how fresh homemade sauces taste. Way better than store-bought.
And you can customize it. Spicy, herby, even creamy if you want. It's all up to you.
Perfect. So we've got our perfectly grilled chicken, our amazing homemade green sauce. What's next?
Well, we got to make it look as good as it tastes, right? Presentation is key.
You're telling me. I always struggle with making my food look fancy. Any tips from the blog post? Definitely. Think fresh herbs for garnish, a pop of color. Choose sides that go well with the flavors. And plating, get creative.
So it's all about the details, making it look like a restaurant-quality dish.
You got it. Even a simple dish can look amazing with a little effort. And if you're having a party, think ahead. Prep in advance, grill in bulk, maybe offer a few different variations.
Great tips, especially for those of us who like to entertain. Make it a bit less stressful.
Exactly. So we've covered a lot. Marination, grilling techniques, safety, presentation, all the basics for amazing grilled chicken with green sauce.
I feel like I'm ready to become a grill master. But there's more to this story, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. We've only just scratched the surface. There's a whole world of variations and inspiration to explore.
Well, stay tuned, everyone, because in the next part of our deep dive, we're going to get even more creative with this dish.
All right, welcome back to the deep dive. Ready for more marinated grilled chicken with green sauce?
You bet. I'm excited to get into all those variations the blog post mentioned, like different proteins, different sauces,
Yeah.
getting creative.
It gets really fun. So first up, let's ditch the chicken for a second. Think shrimp, steak, even tofu.
Ooh, I hadn't thought about tofu,
Mhm.
but that would be really good grilled, right? And with green sauce.
Yeah.
Delicious.
Absolutely. The marinade and grilling techniques, they work for all kinds of proteins. And imagine some juicy grilled shrimp with that vibrant green sauce.
Mouth-watering. Getting hungry just thinking about it. What about other sauces? We've been talking a lot about green sauce, but maybe there are some other options.
Well, the blog post actually mentioned aioli and tzatziki as some cool alternatives.
Interesting. I love aioli, but I wouldn't have thought to pair it with grilled chicken. What kind of flavor does that bring?
Aioli is rich, garlicky, adds a creamy touch. Totally different vibe than the green sauce, but so good.
And tzatziki, that's like yogurty and fresh, right?
Exactly. Tangy, herby, that classic Greek flavor. So you can really play around with the sauces depending on what you're craving.
Love that. So many options. And then the blog post also mentioned getting inspiration from different cuisines.
Oh yeah, that's where things get really wild. Think Korean gochujang, that spicy fermented chili paste.
Ooh, spicy. I like where this is going.
You could add a little bit to the green sauce, give it a kick, or Indian spices, cumin, coriander, turmeric.
Okay, now that's just genius.
It's all about using the basic recipe as a starting point, then adding your own flair.
And speaking of flair, let's go back to presentation for a second. I know we talked about it earlier, but it's so important.
Absolutely. Making your food look beautiful, it just elevates the whole experience.
Right. It's like art, and I need all the help I can get in the art department. Any more tips from the blog post? We talked about herbs and sides.
Well, they emphasized plating. Don't just plop the food on the plate. Think about how you arrange it.
So it's like composition almost, like you're painting a picture.
Exactly. Make it visually appealing. And if you're having guests over, the blog post had some good advice about prepping ahead, grilling in bulk, and offering different options.
Makes sense, especially if you have picky eaters.
Right. So we've covered a lot. Marination, grilling, sauces, presentation. Feeling like a grill master yet?
Almost.
Yeah.
But I think we're missing one piece of the puzzle. The blog post hinted at it, but we haven't really dug into it yet.
You're talking about the cultural side of things, right?
Exactly. The history of green sauce, where it came from. I think that would be really interesting to explore.
Definitely. Food and culture, they're so intertwined. And green sauce has a fascinating story to tell.
Okay, I'm ready for a history lesson. Lead the way. Okay, so we're back for the final part of our deep dive. We've talked about all the technical stuff, but now I'm really curious about that cultural history you mentioned. The green sauce backstory.
Right, it's really interesting. Green sauce, or salsa verde, it goes way back, like ancient civilizations back. Aztecs, Incas, they were all about it.
Wow, so it's not just a sauce, it's like a tradition.
Exactly. They used all sorts of herbs, chili peppers, whatever they had to make these flavorful sauces. It was a big part of their food culture.
So how did it become, the green sauce we know and love today?
Well, like with a lot of food traditions, it evolved. Different regions, different influences over time, each culture adding its own little twist.
Makes sense. Kind of like how recipes get passed down through generations, but they always change a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. And green sauce really traveled. I mean, you see it everywhere now. Mexico, Argentina, even the Mediterranean. Each one's got its own personality.
It's amazing how something like a sauce can connect so many different cultures.
Food is a powerful thing. It's like a universal language. So next time you're eating this dish, it's not just chicken and sauce. It's history, it's culture, it's a story.
That's such a cool way to think about it. And the story's still going, right? People are still experimenting with new flavors, new ingredients.
Always. That's the beauty of cooking. It's tradition, but it's also about creativity, trying new things, putting your own spin on it.
Exactly. So I guess the takeaway here is don't be afraid to get creative in the kitchen. Experiment, have fun.
Absolutely. Take what you've learned, make it your own. Who knows, maybe you'll come up with the next big green sauce sensation.
Well, that's it for our deep dive on marinated grilled chicken with green sauce. We covered a lot of ground today. Hopefully you learned a few things, got an inspiration, and maybe you'll even fire up the grill tonight.
Yeah, go make something delicious. And don't forget to enjoy the process. That's what it's all about.
Couldn't agree more. Thanks for joining us, everyone, and happy grilling.